He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
Welcome into the Broadway Shuffle. On today's episode, we are going to react to the best day in Lubbock, Texas since November 1st, 2008, as Texas Tech defeated the BYU Cougars 21-9 in a college game day and top 10 showdown in West Texas. We have so much to get into with this game. It was a ton of fun being there, being boots on the ground, on the scene. We'll let you know what we saw at game day, react to the game, and so much more. But we want to thank our sponsor for this episode, Lubbock Abstract and Title Company. Cameron does a great job over there as well, so we thank you for that. We'll get into the coverage play of the game here in a little bit. First word, Conrad, I want to go to you. We had a live show from the Jones Friday afternoon. It did not come without its hiccups, but we have a few people to thank for that as well.
Yeah, it was so much fun being there with you guys. A little tense at the beginning. Our software that we used to record did not cooperate with us. And so wanted to shout out to Zyler Buchanan and Jefferson Barrage. Did a great job helping us with everything, setting everything up. And it would have not have been the same without you guys. So Jefferson, True, we appreciate you guys and can't wait to have you guys do it again. So thank you for all who tuned into the live show. And if you didn't, you can still go watch that on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure to subscribe and head over there to watch our live show with guests Holly Rowe, Shahan Jayaraja, Dusty Womble, President Skubanek, Robert Giovanetti. It was a great time on Friday afternoon from Jones AT&T.
Man, yeah, what a weekend. I got stuck in Lubbock due to some car trouble, so it's still going for me. It's just been a heck of a weekend.
You're bearing the brunt of the full Lubbock experience right now, Brennan.
Yes, we are, but we're making it. You're never going to miss an episode of the Broadway Shuffle, especially a win as big as this. Clayton, you just got back into Dallas at the time of this recording, so we're all running on fumes, but what a weekend to do it. Z, I'll go to you first, man. This game was really never in question. Let's get into the game first, and then we'll get a little bit into what it was like with game day and the scene on the field.
Yeah, I think almost by the halfway point of the first quarter, I felt 98% sure that you were going to win that game. You had just seen what they were able to do on offense. And when you were finally able to start moving the ball, I was like, yeah, this is pretty much curtains. And it's not that BYU didn't put up a valiant effort. I thought they really did play well, and that's a good team. And I think it's the second best team you've played all year behind the Utah Utes. But your defense it's almost like they continue to get better. Like they have not peaked and they're continuing to improve. I think Shield was just dominant in what he did in that game. They only ran 9 plays on your side of the 50 for the entire game. You right now, according to PFF, have 3 of the top 4 players on defense in the entire country. That's David Bailey at number 2, Jacob Rodriguez at 3, and Romello Height at number 4. Only the defensive end, Ruben Bain from Miami, is the only non-Red Raider on that list. So just a masterclass from the defensive side of the ball. You made Bear Bachmeier look like a true freshman, and that's really no disservice or discredit to him. I thought he performed admirably. You can see the talent and you can see the juice. It's just he's not going to go in there into that hostile crowd and that defensive line and going to be able to pull out a win. It was just never in the cards, I think, for that offense. We said it on the show. If you played this game straight up 100 times, I think you're coming out victorious, 75 to 80 times. And the game was played pretty much straight up outside of some BYU turnovers, and you dominated. And that's kind of what we expected. And again, that's no discredit to BYU. I think they have a great team. You just have an all-time defensive line for the Big 12, and it was very apparent on Saturday.
Clayton, overall thoughts on the offensive side of the ball as well, too. We'll get into Baron Morton and his limping around the field and the report that came out regarding his hairline fracture. But all in all, penalties, not really a big deal. No turnovers. Really dropped passes were the biggest story from the offensive side of the ball. I know you were actually a little more impressed with Baron after the news came out regarding his leg.
Yeah, I didn't think that Baron played great, but knowing what he's battling through, I thought he played solid. To your point on the drops, I thought that kind of hurt him. I don't know. The offense feels weird. Like BYU has a has a good defense, and I feel like you move the ball pretty easily on them, other than your self-inflicted wounds. And if Coy just catches that touchdown at the end of the half, like you put up 36 points, that's a really solid effort. But the red zone struggles continue to be a thing. of course, I would like to see that cleaned up. But with a defense as good as this, I mean, if we can just move the ball, get in field goal range, and put it in the end zone, half the time, like that's going to be enough to win a lot of games. So yeah, I thought Barron played pretty well. There was definitely some yards and that touchdown left on the field by drops. And to see him out there battling through like a fracture, I honestly don't even know how that's possible to play. So, proud of him for doing that. I honestly thought he played pretty decently, considering BYU's defense is really good.
Yeah, Conrad, we were down there right at the end zone when Coy did have that drop, talking about how this moment for Texas Tech, you go up 20-0, the offense, you put up points, the game's over. I think you looked at me and you're like, this game's over if you score here. You ended up going for fourth, not getting it. Then you go 3 and out the next possession, and yet I still was sitting there thinking, like, I think this game is already over at 13-0. It just, the way that you can just afford to go 3 and out, you don't have to be as aggressive on offense. It sets it up so well where it was a similar story to Kansas State, where you can kind of just hang around, not be super efficient, but yet your defense is just going to get stops, force turnovers, and make it easy on your offense to end up winning by 20 plus.
Yeah, this defense takes a lot of pressure off the offense. I'm not saying the offense doesn't want to be as good as they possibly can, because they do, but knowing you have a group like this behind you to kind of clean up and erase any mistakes definitely has to help. I will say, I was not. There were some people, I don't know, I saw online afterwards that were questioning, why would you go for it there? And I looked at Brennan, and I was like, I go for this every single time, because if you do get that, I mean, it was already over at that point, but then it's really over, and so it's the offense to me. I mean, I'll just piggyback off what Clayton said, man. I am so impressed with Barron. I mean, he's the quarterback you want leading this team. He's obviously who the coaches and the staff wanted leading this team, and seeing what he's doing and giving up his body. I mean, he's given his body for Texas Tech his whole time here, but doing it with a hairline fracture, I don't even know. Like, just to even play a snap is an accomplishment, and to play as well as he did, considering, I mean, my respect for him was already high. He's not an all-time necessarily college football quarterback, but is he a very, very good quarterback? Absolutely. And you add the injuries on top of it. He's already, in my mind, a Texas Tech legend for how he's battled through that and how he's played throughout his time here as a Red Raider.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar, Max Olson from ESPN tweeted out, I think during the first quarter, that Barron had been dealing with a hairline fracture in his fibula. So if you haven't seen that news, I'll be interested to see what the coaching staff says about it today during their presser. I doubt they wanted that news coming out. So who leaked that to Max, and why did he get the green light to say it? I'm not necessarily sure how that happened. But yeah, respect for Barron playing through that. I love that. I appreciate it. I don't want to talk about, and maybe this is bad because I love talking about the realistic parts of the game. It was a top 10 win, and maybe the second biggest win in your program's history. I will save all my wailing and gnashing of teeth about the offense for Thursday. But yeah, and it's so funny to me. Like, I think I was talking to Brennan after the game. I don't know that I'll watch this game again 10 years from now like you do the 2008 game, because it didn't have the, outside of the J-Rod interception, which I thought was an electric moment, probably a signature moment for him as a Red Raider. There's not going to be moments that I look back on in this game super fondly. Like there's 10 of them in that 2008 game that are unbelievable, and the pageantry of that and the back and forth. I don't know that I'll ever, rewatch this game in future seasons, but a top 10 team came into your house and you dominated them. And it was and it felt normal. It was like, oh yeah, this is just like when we played Kansas. And I think it's not that I'm getting numb to that. It was just like, it was not surprising to me. And I don't think it was surprising to the fan base, because you've seen this team play really well. And I think that's what we all expected to happen during the game. And I don't know. It's a fun spot to be in. And it kind of blows my mind thinking about where we were at the start of the season, where you were this time last year, coming off that TCU loss, to be like, yeah, we're a top 4 team in the country and we can beat just about anybody. Let's freaking roll the ball out there and get it done. That's never a position I thought we were going to be at the start of the year. And I'm honestly kind of at a loss for words, to speak about that and where Tech football is as a program right now.
Yeah, and I thought it was so fitting how it was 4 years to the day that Joey was hired, that this win happens, that College Game Day is there, that the pageantry is what it is, that the students are what they are, that the crowd is what it is. I mean, it feels like the stars aligned, and, credit to Kirby Hocutt and that team that hired Joey, because they could not have made a better hire for Texas Tech and a better ambassador for the university, but also a better architect and leader for this football program. I mean, I think you see his leadership, his energy is absolutely infectious for these guys. And, I know the players that were brought in by, Cody and the rest of the team there, but man, it doesn't happen if Joey's not your head coach. And so I thought it was kind of poetic that 4 years to the day, that's what happens at Jones AT&T after he's been hired and after you've infused this program with this talent that really is unmatched all across the country.
Yeah, Z, it's interesting to your point. It was a dud of a game. I mean, really, like that game was kind of boring in the best way.
If you're a casual,
if you're a casual fan wanting to watch just a top 10 matchup at 11 a.m. after game day, you'd be watching that bored out of your mind. And I think that's
not a derogatory thing. It's just like you just beat them into submission.
Yeah, exactly. And so I love that. I think it's great that you just got to sit there and hand it to them, and we got to kind of be there. Oh, it's 16-0. Oh, it's 19-0. Oh, it's 26-0. And you're just like, this is awesome. And I think for Lubbock too, it's just a fantastic moment. The scene, Clayton, around the game, getting to game day in the morning, the amount of people that were around. I mean, even national pundits are like, this is just one of the craziest games and environments I've seen at game day. I think everyone was blown away by what Texas Tech has done. It really is a changing of the guard from the previous years. It is a new era. You're able to win this game. You're able to say that we did not let the circumstances, we did not let the hype get to us, and we came out and played ball and kicked butt. And I think that is just awesome.
Hey, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Broadway Shuffle. We're talking Texas Tech sports, bringing you game previews and reactions, conversations with players and coaches, as well as our honest opinions. Hit subscribe, jump in the comments, and be a part of the conversation. Now back to the show.
Yeah. And I hope that I don't take this for granted, because I was thinking back to like the 2020, 2021 Tech football. Like we're in a dogfight with Kansas, kicking field goals on second down. Like I never would have imagined that less than 5 years later, we're hosting game day in a top 10 matchup. I think it's kind of funny that was BYU's first top 10 matchup ever. It's against Texas Tech. It's kind of random considering their football history. But yeah, I mean, it's just so cool to see. Like Joey deserves so much credit. I know I feel like he doesn't get the respect that he deserves from national people because of, honestly, Cody Campbell, I feel like gets as much respect as Joey. But we talked about it before. Like you have to be a coach that boosters believe in to get the money in the first place. And also, secondly, like it doesn't always go well. You've seen plenty of examples this year with Florida State, LSU, Clemson, Penn State. There's other teams with high payrolls
for like the last 25 years.
Exactly. Speaking of Aggies, man,
maybe longer.
The Twitter Aggies this weekend in the comments of Tech posts are so funny. Like they are undefeated and they're commenting on a team that is supposedly beneath them about their student, I don't know, line or whatever. But yeah, all that to say, like Joey deserves a ton of credit. It doesn't just take money to immediately be a contender.
Yeah, Clayton, I think that is a very prudent point. And whether it's fair or unfair, every time we lose, or I guess the times that we've lost this season, Joey has gotten 100% of the blame. And to his credit, he stands up there and takes it and says, yeah, I'm the head guy. I'll take all the blame. I feel like he's like the fifth guy in line when people give credit. It's like, oh, look how good Blanchard is. Look how good Campbell is, or Cody Campbell. Look how good the defensive line is, how good Shieldwood is. And all those guys deserve a lot of props. And I'm not saying anybody's out there like fighting for the limelight. But it is interesting that, Joey doesn't get a lot of the credit here. And he probably likes it that way. I respect the way that he's been able to do this. There's plenty of coaches in this profession. We all know this. Those guys are alphas and they're ultra competitors and they want the glory. Like that's why they do this. They're in it for the money. They're big game hunters. And for Joey to not get out there and make it about himself, I think shows, and we're not going to make this just a Joey love fest, but the quality of human. He's very quick to give credit to others and take blame when it's his fault. And he's been like that in bad seasons too. And so I appreciate and respect that. And kind of a follow-up thought, and maybe this is unfair, it's felt like in football, you've had so many moments where you felt the program was right up on the hilltop and you just couldn't get over. You just didn't rise to the moment. You didn't meet the moment. TCU in 2015, that felt like a game that if you win, that season just goes a completely different trajectory. Colorado comes to town last year. Like, you win that game, you're in the Big 12 title. And I could go on. And it was just awesome to see the buildup for the game, the hype for the game, and then to deliver for the fan base, for Lubbock, for West Texas was awesome, man. I mean, it's got to be a top 2 Tech football game experience for me all time. I can't really think of anything that would beat 08 right now, but that was unbelievable. The pageantry, the scene, all the students. It was an amazing moment. I could go on and on, but I'll stop there.
The moment, just to let you guys in as listeners, the 4 of us have been fortunate to be on the field for some of these games this year. We were blessed to have that opportunity again this weekend. And the 4 of us are standing in the north end zone as Centennial champion, as everyone's getting ready. The towels are going. It's just an unbelievable scene. And Zyler kind of looks at me and goes, I think I'm going to cry. I said, I might cry too, man. And it was just such a moment where you got to look out to the Jones and see the 60,000 plus and feel it and see it and be like, we've worked so hard for a moment like this. We finally have it. Now let's go get it. And you got it. And that, to me, I was watching some clips on ESPN of Gameday, to some highlights this evening, as I'm recovering from, a tough battle of sun poisoning here. Make sure next time I'm stuck with no hat, you guys remind me to bring sunscreen. But it was, and I almost got emotional watching those, like watching it back and seeing the people go crazy. If you love Texas Tech and if you love this university, this weekend will go down as one of your favorite moments. Conrad texted us right before the show, this is a top 10 moment in my life. And I think that's a fair statement. I really do.
Yeah. I don't know how it couldn't be. I mean, all of us love Texas Tech. All of you listening love Texas Tech. I mean, and not only what, Brennan, what you said, it's a moment we deserve, but it's also a moment that we've endured so much to get to, right? Like, there's no fan base that has dealt with the amount of heartbreaking losses, not only in football, but basketball, baseball. I mean, so much that we've endured, and to have a moment like that where obviously the premier sports broadcast entity in ESPN comes to your city and showcases it, right? Like, I mean, even what McAfee did on Friday afternoon, or Friday morning, was so cool to see. And just like, you're finally getting to see, okay, all these people are finally getting to see what we've seen for so long, are finally getting to see Jones AT&T full to the brim with this striped out stadium, this, Centennial champion, this incredible entrance, these, Mahomes is back. There's so many other people that are there. I mean, it was a moment that it's like, why not Texas Tech? Why not us? Like, why can't this be a pinnacle of college football? Like, yeah, you've got, your traditional places like Tuscaloosa and Austin and, Athens and all those other places, but why not us? And standing there, just seeing Centennial champion running towards us and seeing the players run out and kneel right before us was just an experience that I don't think I'll ever forget. It was something truly special. And then to see the game, at that point for me, the game kind of felt like just an icing on the cake. Like, it was just kind of expected in my mind that we were going to do what we did because of how amazing the buildup was. It just felt like this is the crescendo for Texas Tech moment, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, I could go on and on talking about it as well, but it's just something that not only we've earned, we deserve, but also, we obviously, none of us were necessarily big donors in the pitch to get David Bailey or any of these people. So thank you to all of you out there. I'll be honest here on YouTube and Spotify and Apple, but thank you to all those people who did that, because obviously Joey is the catalyst, but man, none of this happens in this NIL era without those who did donate and who did make this happen from a resource standpoint.
Yeah. Something that I thought was fast, or Brennan, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, to your point earlier, Z, about not wanting to get too deep into it, I was going to just tell Clayton the same thing. Like, why would we get into an analytical, like this play, that play? This moment is just so much bigger. Like, the final score is the final score. You took care of business. It's a moment of celebration. I know it's going to be Monday morning when people are consuming this weekend, but we can focus on UCF Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, man. Like, it's just something you kind of want to bask in for a while.
Yeah. Something else that was funny, we talked about this when we were, gallivanting and doing the Broadway Shuffle, relishing in the throngs of victory. We were sitting there and it was maybe 4:30, 5, and we're like, what's going on with all the other games? I just hadn't even thought about it. It was like this was the center of the college football world for the first time in 17 years, and we were in it, and I was in it. And usually after Tech games, I'm like, oh, let's see what's happening around the country. I want to see what's happening in the big games. And no, you were the big game. And when we were there for the big game, and it's like nothing else really mattered at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm being way too romantic about this. I need to get back to my EPA discussions and my success rate discussions.
Please no, not today.
It was a funny moment, and something that I have very rarely, if ever, experienced after a Tech game, where it's just like I didn't really care to look at my phone. Like I didn't need to see what was going on around the country. And I mean, ultimately I did. And what a catch from that kid from Indiana. That was really cool. But yeah, that was a really unique moment. And I wanted to cherish it and at least call it out, because you never know when that's going to come around again.
I feel like the coolest thing for me is like, we kind of talked about some of the games, but in our time as students and just our time as Tech fans, like atmospheres like this do happen every few years. But usually it's not like your team is really competing for the Big 12, or you end up losing the game, and students still talk about the atmosphere, like the TCU, OU at Baker's return, stuff like that. But this one, like, you actually delivered. And to think about, like, we are on track to host a playoff game, like that same atmosphere could return later this season if that happens. If not,
totally,
probably better atmosphere.
And CBS Sports put out a projection yesterday, and this would be the most wild scenario if they do this to us. But it had number 10 Texas, and they would need to obviously win a couple games here. Traveling to Lubbock for number 7 Texas Tech, and then the winner of that game would play A&M. Could you imagine if that how the bracket sets up?
I mean, that triangle of chaos and hatred. I mean, it would
just be epic. Would you guys want Texas? Like, would you
give me Texas?
Trust to beat
Absolutely.
Texas to the Jones?
Oh yeah,
dude. Arch Manning has never seen a defensive front like what we have. Like he would probably run backwards. He'd be so scared.
I mean, they have a good defense too, but yeah, I mean, that would just, I mean, that environment would rival 08 without a doubt.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So
because you don't have Texas coming ever on the schedule again. It may never happen ever. So to get them or Aggie would be really cool.
Yeah,
but I'm praying for an ACC team. Truth be told.
Yes, we were talking like, give us the 5th seed and put the group of 5 against us coming to Lubbock.
Yeah,
best case scenario.
James Madison, come on down.
Yes, we would love that. Well, let's get to some overreaction or realities here for this episode, guys. And we kind of touched on it a little bit, but these are 3 great questions. Conrad, thank you for putting these together this week. Overreaction or reality. First question. This is the biggest win in Jones AT&T Stadium ever.
Overreaction for me. I still can't put it above the 08 UT game. I think for the fact that UT was, one of the national championship favorites that year, the fact that
they
was
were number
UT.
1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they were number one. Yeah. The fact that it was UT in itself, I feel like, I don't know, people use hindsight to say that game like was a flash in the pan, or like that Tech team that was just random, but that really wasn't the case. Like, you had been competitive in the Big 12 from like 05 to 08, and that was kind of the culmination of all of it. And I know that game didn't ultimately end up leading to anything, but at the time, I feel like that game was still the bigger win for the program. But this one's definitely second for sure.
Yeah, I think slight overreaction. But if this team goes on to win playoff games or win the Big 12, like you said, Clayton, it'll be that one of those weird hindsight things. Like, what did it lead to? Because I feel like if this doesn't lead to a Big 12 title or a playoff game, it's very easily the Texas game. But I think it has a very legitimate case, but it's going to depend on how the rest of the season plays out in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, if you go on and win the next 2 like we would hope and play in Arlington, not only play in Arlington, but win in Arlington, I think it has to, because unfortunately that 08 team did not achieve the heights that they wanted to. And so if this leads to actual hardware, I think this has to be the biggest win just because of what it culminated in. But then again, we'll have to evaluate that for sure at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm going to say overreaction. I was in the stadium as a 12-year-old in 2008. Have vivid memories of that. I think with it being the hatred of Texas, it just meant a little more at the time. Still a huge win, them being number 1. But I totally agree with you guys. Like, if this win leads you to then win and compete for a championship, we'll have a different conversation about it. But that was just pure hatred, and you finally took down Goliath. Like, that's what 2008 was. BYU was not necessarily Goliath, and for your program. And so I'm going to say overreaction for now, but talk to me in December.
So that's a fair point. Very well said.
All right. Number 2, this is the best Texas Tech football team ever.
Reality.
Yeah, I'm going to say reality too, just because the defense is so far ahead of what I think 08 was.
I am also going to say reality. That was a pretty easy answer there, guys. That one might be too easy. It has been such a dominant team so far this season. It's just crazy to think about that.
But think about what we're saying in 100 years of Texas Tech football. This is the best team ever assembled. I mean, that's
just don't know if you
statement.
ever had a team that was even top 5 in computer model, which is like kind of the best way to judge across eras is like how good were you compared to your peers, not necessarily how good would they be compared to a team in 2025. I don't think you have teams that even sniff the top 5, and this one is very firmly in the top 4 per most metrics. And that to me, I know it's not about computers, but actually it is going to be about computers for me, so that's kind of what I'm going on.
Zyler, he went 25 minutes without it, and then he was like, fine, I'll bring it in for this conversation.
The romanticism's gone.
Yeah,
let them nerds run the sport.
Time to lock in. Okay, this one is interesting for me, and I'm not willing to go here yet, but Joey McGuire is the best head coach in Texas Tech football history. I don't think 4 years you can say that yet. If he wins a Big 12 championship, you can start having the conversation, but you've been 9-1. You've been 10-0 before. Mike Leach was there for a decade. I think what Joey's building is great, but I'm not willing to say reality on this statement yet.
I'll say it. It's reality. It's reality. And I'm serious. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Coach Leach, but the excitement that's happened, the architecture of this team, I'll go ahead and say it from a fan's perspective. This team will win the Big 12 championship this year. And I would be absolutely shocked if we do not. And if he leads a team of all new pieces to come together like this, lose one game without your starting quarterback, and then go win the Big 12 title, something that we've never done before, I don't even think it's a conversation at that point. Credit to Coach Leach. Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from what he did. He revolutionized the sport. But if this ends the way that we think it can, and is going to look pretty likely to, as we're a 20-plus point favorite against UCF, probably the same thing against West Virginia, I don't even think it's a conversation. I think Joey McGuire is the best head coach in Texas Tech history.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between both of y'all. Like, I feel like it may be a little early to have this conversation, but if we are going to have it, I'll say reality. I wish I had time to check before we started, but I think Joey has a better Big 12 win percentage than Leach, and definitely better to start his career. And like, you think about 08, Leach had been at Tech for what, like 8 years up to that point? Like, it took him 8 years to get to that point. Joey's done it in 4, which I know, UT and OU leaving the conference definitely has something to do with that. But I mean, just thinking about this season alone, like, we're 9-1 with 9 20-plus point wins. That's just absurd.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, I think this is not the conversation, but it reminds me of the Mahomes versus Brady thing. Like, I think Joey is clearly on a better trajectory, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. Let's see how it plays out over the next several years. But been nothing but impressed with Joey so far.
Zyler, would a Big 12 title be enough for you to say reality?
Coaches are this weird thing where so much of your legacy is how you end up exiting, and so few coaches end up going out on their own terms. And I think a lot of how he ultimately, if he retires at Tech, or is he forced out at Tech, or does he take another job, like, so much of that will dictate how we view him. Like, I just think about Beard. Like, Beard is very clearly the second best coach you've ever. Well, as far as what he accomplished at Tech, Bob Knight was obviously a better coach, but for what he accomplished at Tech, he's the most accomplished coach in your history. But nobody wants to talk about that because of the way that he left. Mm-hmm. And I think legacy is so important on how these things get defined. And so and I think we've talked about this, like, legacy is that weird term that it's being written at this point, but you can't ever define. You never know when it's going to end. And so I don't know yet. he's got a great start and things are really going really well for him, but things were going really well for Dabo Swinney for a really long time. Things were going great for Mike Norvell, and look where he is. Stuff changes quickly, and what's true today may not be true tomorrow. So I'm enjoying the moment, but we'll see.
And I'll say this, I believe everything that I said, but I also want to fully put this out there that I'm saying all of this the day after your second biggest win in program history. So, I'm dating myself, but I do believe what I said, but it is a day of emotional highs.
It is for sure. Well, okay, final question. Jacob Rodriguez should be in New York City as a Heisman finalist.
How many finalists are there? 3 or 5?
3. They get invited. Did they get invited to New York?
They used to have 4 or 5.
Did they change it?
Yeah, they can change it.
I'll look it up. Y'all talk about it. I'm going to fact check this.
Well, I don't know who they can change it because I remember one year, I think they've had years with 4 or 5.
It's 4.
I think
it's 4.
4. Okay.
Then I think absolutely he should be. I
Who
think
would be your top 4?
Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sain, Ty Simpson, and Jacob Rodriguez.
No Mendoza?
You'd have 2 from Ohio State.
I don't think
I don't
both from OSU.
I still think that he's not close to Julian and Ty. I would still take them over him.
I think I would take Mendoza. Oh, dude, I guess Sayin. Conrad's fricked me up on pronouncing his name. I legitimately can never remember how to say his name. It's so hard for a defensive guy to get there. I don't know that he's going to be there. He's having he's the runaway Butkus award winner. It should be wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even going to be close. But is that enough? He's going to have a better season than Monty Teo had. But should
Monty or Manti?
Manti. I can't pronounce names when we're on Conrad.
And he's actually got a real girlfriend too, which is crazy.
Yeah. So it's the question about Monta is did he deserve to be there in the first place? Not is Jacob having a better season than him? So I don't know. Jacob's an excellent player, all-time linebacker for you. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up with a New York nod. Fascinating question though.
Clay?
I honestly think reality. I feel like I scoffed at the Jacob for Heisman when it first started making its way around social media, but I mean, he's basically forcing a turnover every single game.
Didn't he have 10?
Yeah. So, yeah, he is forcing 1 a game.
Yeah, he has 3 interceptions and 7 forced fumbles. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, for a stat that's so hard to come by, forcing turnovers. And those are things that sway football games. You lose the turnover battle 1-0, and I'm assuming that your win percentage is less than 50 at that point. So, I honestly think it's reality, but I would have Sayin, Simpson, and Mendoza above him in my ballot if I had one.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's reality at this point, being a top 4. He's earned that, I believe.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you guys a question. This is not in the plan, but I'm going to ask it anyway because that makes for good podcasting. What would your response be to the national pundits and the Twitter warriors that are saying you still can't take Texas Tech seriously because they play in the Big 12? What would your response be to those individuals saying that online?
Get over it.
I mean, if you can't watch Tech's defense and see that it's not because we're in the Big 12, I don't think you should be really talking about football.
Yeah.
So Brennan made a very astute point back at the beginning of the season, and he said it after week 4 as well. Winning against Utah and dominating defensively the way that you did carries so much credence because everyone knows that that's probably the best offensive line in the country, and you kind of had your way with that group. Now, they gave you the stiffest challenge you've had so far, without a doubt. It wasn't like some of the performances we've seen with other Big 12 opponents. But, if somebody's going to tell me oh, yeah, look at this tackle, it's dude, I watched David Bailey and Romello dominate Caleb Lamu and Spencer Fano.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried. I really won't be. There's not a better offensive line out there, and you beat that team by 24 on their field. Now, Dan Pierre thoughts aside, that's why we're winning these games so dominantly is our defensive line. We're not afraid to talk about that. And we won by 24 against the best offensive line in the country. We're going to have a sizable advantage on that front against every single team we play.
Yeah.
And
To me, sorry, keep going.
no, please.
To me, I was about to say it's kind of the same take as like people discounting Indiana because they're Indiana. It's like if you were to just watch this team play, you would be able to understand that they're a good football team, no matter what their history is.
And to your point, Clayton, I saw somebody writing about this. They're on pace to have the same scoring margin as that 2019 LSU team that everybody thinks is just God's gift to football. And they're beating teams in a power conference by the exact same margin. And nobody wants to talk about Indiana like that 2019 LSU team. And I think it's 100% because of the logo on the helmet.
Yeah, got to take away the bias of the decals in 2025, right, Conrad?
You do. Your friend Joel Klatt loves to have that conversation, especially when it comes to Texas Tech.
Joel texted me. He's really proud of the Red Raiders this weekend. So he was sorry Fox didn't have the coverage.
Well, that's okay. Colorado will probably never get to the point that Texas Tech is at now, but I hope he enjoyed his time there.
Wow.
Speaking more nationally, though, you've got, and you actually will have an opportunity this week to clinch a spot in the Big 12 title game. Now, you need Utah to lose, and you need BYU to lose, and Cincinnati to lose, and Arizona State and Houston all to lose, which is not going to happen, and then you to win. But you did eliminate one other potential contender. TCU actually dropped the game to Iowa State, which was really helpful for you when it comes to some of those tiebreaker scenarios. That was a sneaky result that helped you out as far as getting to the Big 12 title race if you do end up adding a second loss somehow.
So will this be a rematch in Arlington, do you think, Z?
I think so. I just don't. Unless TCU is able to get BYU, I think, and this is a conversation about BYU, and I know it's, we spent the first 30 minutes just talking about how awesome Tech is and how great it was. We didn't really talk about the game that much, but I think BYU ran some really clever stuff on offense. It was like the Kansas offense, but not nearly as gimmicky and way more effective at like, hey, this is what we're trying to do, and we're going to set things up schematically. I thought they had a really clean offensive structure. I don't think there's going to be enough defenses, especially, TCU may be able to, but I don't think Cincinnati's going to be able to hold them, and I think they'll get that win, and then it's kind of smooth sailing from BYU from there if they get over TCU. So I think BYU's the most likely opponent. I just don't see them picking up that second loss.
Yeah, Clayton, are we surprised by the amount of teams that have already been eliminated? I mean, when we're looking at preseason, we were talking about Kansas State, Iowa State, TCU, Baylor. None of those teams are in it at this point at all. I mean, Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, Texas Tech, like Zyler just mentioned, it's been a surprising Big 12 race up to this point, in my opinion. Are you shocked by who's in the race at this point?
Yeah, for sure. I'm shocked by the teams that are still in contention. I don't know if I'm shocked by like the number of teams, but I'm definitely surprised by how early Baylor was eliminated. I'm surprised that TCU is not in it. I'm surprised that Cincinnati is in it, even though, I think we talked about them as kind of like a dark horse good team, but I didn't think they'd have one loss this far into the year. I'm honestly surprised that Utah is kind of like needing help from other teams to get in it. So yeah, I think there's been Houston for sure. That's the most surprising.
Houston
right?
And Arizona State after losing Levitt.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm surprised by a lot of that, to be honest.
Yeah, Conrad, what are your thoughts on the state of the Big 12?
I mean, I don't know how you can look at the Big 12 and not say that it's, top to bottom, one of the deepest, I mean, if not the deepest conference in the country. I mean, I think you see the teams playing at the level that, albeit BYU did not have the best showing against us, but that's to be expected with what was on the line. I mean, I think Cincinnati with their offense and what Sorsby's done. I mean, Houston, even Utah and Dampier finally, figuring some things out and becoming the player that he is now at this point in the season. I think when you look at the Big 12, you have to look at it from, this is a very good conference. This is a very competitive conference. It's something that maybe a lot of people don't want to admit just because of the bias. But again, I think it's a good conference top to bottom. Obviously, the top with Texas Tech and probably Utah being there, I know BYU's there, Cincinnati. I mean, Texas Tech and Utah, I think Texas Tech, Utah, and BYU, probably Texas Tech and Utah would be the two that would be perceived to have better chances against the top SEC and Big Ten teams. But at the same time, when you look at the Big 12 as a whole, what'd you say, Zyler?
Oh, without a doubt. No, I completely agree.
Yeah. So when you look at the Big 12 as a whole, I mean, it's a very good conference. I will say, though, I do think that, I don't think it's necessarily at a disadvantage. I think this is when it comes to Texas Tech and even Utah, these two schools can definitely compete with the big boys from the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a fascinating thing to keep an eye on the next few weeks. Is it going to be BYU? Is it going to be Cincinnati? Can Houston find a way? I'm looking forward to seeing that. But one thing we think we know for sure is that Texas Tech will be there, and that's all that matters. And Z, it has been funny. We've been talking 40 minutes. Usually we have all these things and these plays to get into, and you're kind of right. This has just been a episode about romance. A love for a team in West Texas. Conrad was looking into my eyes a lot this weekend, hugging on the field, man. You know, the bromance with Texas Tech football and with everything's real. And I know we're all gassed too. This might be the most tired the four of us have ever been doing a reaction episode, but it was all worth it, man.
Aptly named Broadway Shuffle, I think, got the better of at least three of us this weekend.
Yeah, it was
3
just
and 3 only.
Yeah.
Yes.
Conrad, man, he was able to get home Saturday, probably be in bed by 9:00, do what he does. You know,
Dude, I could not go to sleep. I was so I was just laying there with my eyes closed, just like that really just happened.
I know.
Like I don't know.
It is hard to kind of. It's a
I could
pinch
wax
yourself
poetic
moment.
on that.
Yes.
Okay. Random question for you guys. You know, I know we'll get to some other stuff, but offensive MVP of the game. I know defensive would probably have been too easy. Who was the offensive MVP for you?
Dickey.
Yeah, I think Dickey.
Yeah, I would go Cam.
He's the leading rusher in the Big 12 now.
Is he really?
That's crazy.
Because he was.
Dude,
I
Cam
think he was
played
second
great, man.
behind Martin, and he passed.
It's crazy that I've been talking about like we can't freaking run the ball. It's terrible on first and second down. And we have the Big 12's leading rusher. It's like I need to just get over myself sometimes.
The amount of explosive plays you end up getting in the run game, you know, they happen periodically throughout the course of the whole game. It just doesn't always look. You're not always turning out 3 to 4 yard carries.
Yeah, we talked about it last.
No, go ahead, Clayton.
Sorry, I was going to transition to Terrence Carter. We talked about him last week, but dude, the stuff that he can do as a tight end is so different from what you see on most tight ends in college. Was it? I don't know if it was second or third down. It was like 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 20. He caught that over the middle and he juked that cornerback. Like you do not see tight ends do that very often.
And I know there's confidence from Tech's side that he's going to come back. Like I just don't understand how I look at that guy and be like, yeah, that's not an NFL player. Like he just seems like
if he was 2 inches taller,
he's so good. Like he's such a good receiver.
Yeah,
and he's like a very good,
very athletic too.
What round would you? I'm not asking what the experts. There are no such thing when it comes to the NFL draft. But what round would you take him in?
I mean, if you were if I had to guess, he'd be like a 5th rounder.
No. Well, I'm asking what you would take him in the 5th round.
Yeah, I feel like taking an undersized tight end with day 2 capital is probably not a wise move. Like just like roster construction.
Not all. You know, freaky athletic tight ends went to Texas Tech. So
yeah, which also means Texas Tech, if they wanted to keep him bad enough, they'd be able to write a check that would justify a 5th round pick pretty easily. If they wanted to.
And I don't know where he's prognosticated, but I imagine he would get drafted. I just don't think he's like a day 2 guy right now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. The frustrating thing, maybe we shouldn't talk about the Barron playing right now with a fractured leg and not getting more help from his receivers is going to drive me insane.
Save that for Wednesday and Thursday.
100%.
Okay. We'll table that talk.
Yeah. I want to say one last stat that I think encapsulates how bad we beat them Saturday. They ran 9 plays on Tech's side of the 50, and they did not get into our red zone until we had 26 points on the board. It was 26-0 before they got to the 20.
That's insane.
I mean, yeah. You just humiliated the offense. And the thing is, like, I thought they were throwing everything they had at you. Like, very rarely did they just run inside zone. It was always like, what if we motion this guy in over and fake the pitch and then fake the handoff and then throw to our tight end? It was like they threw the bag at you and it was like, oh, that's a really cool play. It's going to go for 4 yards. It's like, oh, sick.
Right. They even tried to run a trick punt return on the guy running to catch it down the left sideline.
Yeah.
It just shows the dominance of your defense.
And we've said it, and we started saying it against Oklahoma State. Cole Wisniewski has really, and post Arizona State, both him and BJ have played a lot better. So credit to both of those guys. I think we had not criticized, but just been like, you don't ever notice Cole, you don't ever notice BJ. They are playing very well. And BJ, you don't ever really see him because he's doing a great job on the back end and been much better in coverage. So, shout out to those guys and shout out to the adjustments that our staff made back there.
Yeah. And not that anybody listening to this really cares that much because it doesn't matter. It never really has mattered. It doesn't matter now, but Texas Tech was ranked 8th in the AP poll, which I think is massive disrespect to considering what happened.
Yeah, that was weird that they had Oregon ahead of them there in the AP. I thought that was hilarious. Nothing, like you said, it doesn't matter at all. But it was just kind of interesting to see that come out today that they didn't even honor Texas Tech winning to move them at all. They moved Oregon ahead of them.
It's
just weird.
They also moved Ole Miss ahead of Oregon for beating the Citadel.
Yeah,
I don't really understand that.
I don't need to say for the 100th time the AP poll doesn't matter.
Well, we've got tons to get into on Wednesday. There is another game. The season's not over. You get to ride the wave going to Senior Day next Saturday against UCF at 2:30 in the Jones. But wanted to shout out everyone too, people, shufflers around, subscribers, new subscribers, friends of the show. We felt the love for sure, man. We're super honored and excited to be able to talk to you guys and build and join a community where we all can talk ball. And so I think that was a ton of fun this weekend as well too, and a lot of good Tommies as well, which we will get to. But Z, I wanted to get to our Lubbock abstract and title coverage play of the game before we do our Tommies. What play do we have this week?
Yeah, I think people will probably guess this, but it's the first play all year that's happened where I stood up on the bleacher and like Naruto yelled. Like, it was just so electric when the David Bailey pressure on Bear Bachmeier on third down led to the Jacob Rodriguez pass deflection into interception. Easily the coverage play of the game. And if you watched behind him, that receiver was about to get his head taken off if that ball got there. One thing I will say about Bear Bachmeier, he throws a great hospital ball. He is going to get somebody killed. But yeah, that was easily the coverage.
Passer.
I thought he was a good passer. He looked up.
No.
That was the coverage play of the game for me. Shout out Lubbock Abstract and Title. We appreciate them being a sponsor.
Yeah, man. Great sponsor, friend of the show. So, yeah, I mean, that play, too, was just unbelievable. That was really the one main play that got people just juiced, I felt like as well, too. Exciting. Well, okay, it's that time of the show, guys, as we close up to get to our Tommy Tubbervilles of the week. Depressing week for me here. I don't have a coach that got fired this week. I don't think.
We can check. Did Mike Norvell get fired?
Wait, did Brian Dable get fired from the Giants?
I don't think so.
No.
Oh,
Not yet.
Dang. Okay. Well, dang. No firing coaches for me as a Tommy this week.
DJ Lagway got benched. You can make.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
Did he really?
Garrett Nussmeier got benched.
Benched quarterbacks is my Tommy of the week.
Wow.
Garrett Nussmeier and DJ Lagway from Florida and LSU they'll replace the coaches for me this week, and I'm going to hold out hope that someone gets canned next Sunday. That sounds so rude, but it just makes for a good Tommy Tubberville. They get paid handsomely well. So
yeah, I'll go and I'll start with the shufflers. Monty Pierce, Laura Weiss, and Hayden Price all had this. Utah fans deciding to interject themselves into the biggest Big 12 game of the year when they were on bye was ridiculous. They are very confident that they are the best team in the Big 12 after losing to both of the teams that were in this game. I get maybe thinking that you're better, and sometimes the better team does, lose. But that was just a little obnoxious. I didn't really get that, and it was from some of the guys that I respect. They're an interesting bunch. They don't really share some of the sensibilities of their Provo brethren. So Utah fans were the shufflers, Tommy Tubberville of the week, and I thought that was a very apt selection. For me, it's going to be Florida State. UConn and let me find this, ACC wins since 2024. UConn football, which how many of you knew that UConn had a football team before this? Raise your hand. UConn has 3 wins in the ACC since 2024. Florida State has 2. So getting out 1 in your own conference by UConn football makes you an automatic Tommy Tubberville of the week. So Florida State's my Tommy.
I didn't even know that UConn was in the ACC.
They're not in the ACC.
They're not.
Oh, okay. They've won games against ACC teams. That makes sense. I was like, what? No way.
Yeah, they're not in the conference, and they have more wins against ACC teams.
Gotcha.
Than Florida State.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Clayton, who do you got this week?
Yeah, mine is going to be Washington football. I actually thought Washington was pretty good coming into this week. So after the game, I was checking the scores. I saw they lost to Wisconsin, which was shocking. That's bad enough to get a Tommy in itself. But then I checked the box score. Wisconsin's leading passer was their punter with 24 passing yards. They had 3 other guys throw passes that combined for 5 of 17 for 24 yards, and they won the game.
Wow.
So Washington, you are my Tommy of the week.
That's a deserving
good
one
stuff.
for sure. Well, Conrad, we'll
That's-
end with you, man.
It's epic. Yeah, my Tommy of the week is everyone who's not a Texas Tech football fan. I mean, life is too good right now for us, and it's good because it's been so bad. And so, my Tommy is not really a dig at anybody else, but just another exaltation, if you will, for Texas Tech and this program led by Coach McGuire and Barron and J. Rod and these guys. So, yeah, life is good for Texas Tech fans right now.
Life is good, and we'll keep it rolling. And life's good for the Broadway Shuffle, right? Maybe not as much right now, but it is still a great day. I want to thank my friends here in Lubbock, Ryan and Adrian Hawkins, big fan of the show, for letting me crash at their house due to my car troubles as well, too. So Lubbock couldn't get rid of me, man. They're like, nah, we got to keep you here. Maybe I'll just stay all week and go to the UCF game. But it's a great episode, guys. Ton of fun. We'll be back on Thursday to preview the UCF game on Saturday. We'll also talk about the basketball game that's coming up on Tuesday night against Illinois. We'll react to that as basketball is now starting to get into full swing. You're 2-0 to start the year for basketball. So a lot of excitement around Texas Tech sports, and we are here for all of it. So for Zyler, Clayton, and Conrad, I am Brennan, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a great week. Wreck 'em.
He makes the catch. He's going all the way. 20, 15.